You know, sometimes I look at Malaysian politics and just think, are they even on the same page? Honestly, it's like watching a chess game where the pieces suddenly decide to switch sides mid-move, and frankly, it leaves me doing like mental gymnastics. Just yesterday, right, we saw something that seemed like a pretty open mockery of Prime Minister Anwar's diplomatic efforts. That came from the propaganda chief of Parti Islam Si Malaysia, Ahmad Fadli, with that whole monkey referee comic thing. And then, almost unbelievably, today, like the very next day, we have another prominent figure from the exact same party, Tan Sri Anwar Musa, publicly praising him, saying, and this is a quote, "If he does good, we should acknowledge it, no negative politics."
This whiplash, this stark contradiction, just makes you wonder, what do you make of this? Are we seeing some kind of strategic genius, or is it just plain chaos unfolding right before us? So let's dive into this perplexing situation. First, maybe set the stage a bit. We need to talk about Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's recent diplomatic success. He managed to mediate a ceasefire between Thailand and Cambodia.
Now, this was widely seen as a significant win for Malaysia, right? A real moment of, you could say, national pride, especially since Malaysia is currently the rotating chair of ASEAN.
Absolutely. And, the geopolitical weight of that diplomatic breakthrough shouldn't be understated. Regional peace within ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, it's not just nice to have, it's fundamental. It's absolutely crucial for stability and, well, for the economic prosperity of the whole region.
Yeah.
As the ASEAN chair, Malaysia actually has a distinct duty or responsibility to intervene in conflicts like that border dispute. The main idea is to stop these local issues from blowing up into wider regional instability and, really importantly, to prevent outside powers from getting involved.
Right, because that external interference is always a risk.
Exactly. That could destabilize everything. So PM Anwar's intervention in that context was definitely aligned with a really vital national and regional interest. It boosted Malaysia's image as a constructive player.
Okay, so you've got this positive, unifying diplomatic moment. Malaysia's looking good internationally. And then, almost immediately, this digital jab lands. And this is where Parti Islam, Si Malaysia's propaganda chief, Ahmad Fadli, comes in. Just one day before Tan Sri Anwar Musa's praise, remember, Ahmad Fadli posts that controversial comic, "We all saw the monkey referee thing, didn't we? A monkey judge, a goat, a sheep, fighting over bananas." It wasn't subtle at all. And yeah, it was widely seen as a direct shot, mocking PM Anwar's role as mediator, no question. The reaction online was instant and pretty fierce. And while the comic was later deleted,
Which is interesting in itself.
yeah, it was taken down, but notably, no apology ever came out. Instead, Ahmad Fadli just sort of said it was a police matter now, which for a lot of people, that response just raised more questions about what the intention was behind it all.
And the outcry, as you said, was quite intense.
Yeah.
And immediate. Prime Minister Anwar's own party, Parti Keadilan Rakyat, and also Parti Amanah Negara, specifically their Pasir Gudang divisions, they reacted very quickly. They didn't just complain online, they actually filed official police reports against Ahmad Fadli. So this wasn't just noise, it was a formal action.
That's a serious step. So the backlash was strong, and the allegations themselves were quite serious too, weren't they? What exactly were they accusing him of in those reports?
Well, the core allegations were pretty severe, definitely going beyond typical political point scoring. They accused him of insulting the prime minister, who is, the head of the government, the symbol of national leadership. And by extension, they argued it damaged Malaysia's national image on the world stage. Critics were really forceful, saying this act undermined Malaysia's careful diplomatic work and could potentially harm our relationships with Thailand and Cambodia, the very neighbors we'd just helped.
Right, the timing was terrible.
Precisely. The main point they hammered home was this showed a real lack of national big-picture view. Yeah. Basically turning a serious diplomatic win into, as they put it, a joke. You raised that uncomfortable question. Was short-term political gain being put ahead of long-term national dignity and credibility? It felt like it risked the country's standing.
Yeah, it definitely hits differently for just an ordinary Malaysian, you know? When you see the country achieve something significant internationally, something that should make everyone feel a bit proud, and then internal politics seems to just undercut it. It feels, well, awkward. Uncomfortable. It feels like it touches on our national dignity, almost like, are we shooting ourselves in the foot here when we should be celebrating? It makes you really question where that line is between legitimate political opposition, which is necessary, and actively undermining the nation's reputation. It's a tricky balance. And then, almost like clockwork, the political narrative just flips the very next day. We see this completely opposite message emerging from within the same party, Parti Islam Si Malaysia, Tentri Anwar Musa, a Central Committee member, steps up and publicly praises PM Anwar's efforts. His words were really clear. I quoted it earlier. If he does good, we should acknowledge it. No negative politics. I mean, talking about a dramatic shift in tone from just 24 hours before, it felt like, yeah, worlds apart within the same party.
Annuar Musa's statement specifically offered a really important counter-narrative. It went deeper into that national interest angle.
Yeah.
He strongly emphasized that Malaysia, holding the ASEAN chair, had a clear obligation, really a duty, to mediate regional conflicts. It wasn't optional. His point was that Anwar's intervention wasn't just the right thing to do, but it was completely aligned with Malaysia's own interests.
So framing it as a duty, not just a choice.
Exactly. And he stressed how regional peace is the absolute foundation for prosperity across ASEAN. His argument was pretty clear. Letting these conflicts fester could easily invite that external interference we talked about. And that, as we've seen elsewhere, destabilizes the whole region, undermines everyone's sovereignty. So this, statesman-like big picture view is such a sharp contrast to the perceived narrow political attack of the monkey comic, which, let's be honest, many saw as just a partisan jab, without any thought for the wider diplomatic picture. It really highlighted the different ways you can look at the same event.
It really is a night and day difference, isn't it? Like one moment you're seeing these sharp, almost petty political jabs, and the next you get this mature, statesman-like endorsement of the exact same action from someone in the same party leadership. This huge difference, this kind of internal inconsistency, is exactly why so many of us are left scratching our heads as trying to figure out what on earth is going on inside Parti Islam Si Malaysia. It raises some fascinating questions about how a party actually functions when you see such different messages coming out publicly.
And that really brings us to the core issue, doesn't it? Trying to decode the internal dynamics within Parti Islam Si Malaysia. There are a couple of main ways people are interpreting this seemingly contradictory behavior. One strong possibility is that Tantri Anwar Musa's statement was, well, strategic. An attempt by the party, or at least parts of it, to balance its image.
Like damage control.
Sort of, yeah. Think of it like a political firefighter stepping in to contain the negative fallout from the comic. It could be a calculated move to soften their image, to make sure the party doesn't look entirely petty or, worse, unpatriotic when the nation scores a genuine win. It's that classic tightrope walk for any opposition party, isn't it? You need to project strength. You need to criticize the government, maintain that fierce opposition.
But you can't look like you're against the country itself.
Precisely. You have to acknowledge undeniable national achievements, especially diplomatic ones, without looking inconsistent or undermining your own credibility.
So how do you even manage that? How does an opposition party walk that line effectively? Keeping up the pressure on domestic policy, but still being pragmatic enough to say, good job on foreign policy, wins that benefit everyone. It must be incredibly tricky. Some people might even say, cynically perhaps, that Annuar Musa's praise was just opportunistic, a calculated move to deflect the criticism from the comic, not really a genuine nod to the PM. How do you, as someone watching these dynamics, even begin to separate genuine praise from pure political strategy in a case like this?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And look, we can't know the exact individual motivations for sure, but we can analyze the impact and the context. And purely opportunistic move usually aims for short-term gain, like just stopping the immediate backlash. Annuar Musa's statement, though, it did more. It invoked national interest, Malaysia's ASEAN role. It framed things in a broader, longer-term perspective.
Okay, so it had more substance than just a quick deflection.
Potentially, yes. Which suggests it might also reflect genuine internal differences within Parti Islam Si Malaysia. Different strategies, maybe even different opinions on how to handle PM Anwar's government, especially its foreign policy successes. Look, big parties often have different factions or currents of thought. It's not unusual, and this whole episode taps into a much bigger, older tension in Malaysian politics, the really complex dance between party loyalty, individual expression, and the national interest, especially when international relations are involved. It just highlights again how delicate that balance is, criticizing effectively without actually harming the country's reputation on the world stage. It's a constant struggle.
This whole thing definitely makes you do some serious mental gymnastics trying to figure out the strategy. Or maybe the lack of one. It really begs the question.
Exactly. When does vigorous political opposition actually cross that line and start undermining the nation's reputation? What are the real costs of that? And maybe more fundamentally, how should political leaders on all sides balance their party's agenda with the wider national interest, particularly when they're representing the country internationally?
Really fascinating questions for all of us to think about. The ongoing political chess match here in Malaysia and how these parties navigate such sensitive territory. Well, it's certainly something to keep watching and mulling over as it continues to play out.